Good evening. The time is 8 o'clock, and the Murray Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net is on the air. This is Net Control Station, K4LEN. My name is Justin. This net is held every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. on the Murray Amateur Radio Club repeater, W4GGM, transmitting on frequency of 147.120 with a tone of 127.3. This is an open net, and all amateur radio operators are welcome to check in. While it is not necessary to be a member of the Murray Amateur Radio Club to take part in our net, all interested stations are invited to join the club. For more information on joining, please contact any member. Go to our website, w4ggm.org. This is an informal net. Your comments are welcome. While our net is not a traffic net, anyone having emergency or priority traffic may contact Net Control at any time. Again, this is K4LEN with the Murray Amateur Radio Club Newbie Net. Does anyone have any emergency or priority traffic at this time? Alright, nothing heard. Do we have any announcements tonight? Alright, I got N4BBB and KK4NKH. Scott, go ahead first.
Sir, I'll be conducting the next session of our traffic training net after you take check-ins, Justin. That's all. Thank you. N4BBB.
All right, Scott. Well, glad to have you here. KK4MKH. Barry, go ahead with your announcement, my friend.
K4KH. Am I go ahead, Dustin? Sorry about that. Scott talking. Sorry. KK4MKH. I'm on the big riding tonight. I'm not checking on the walking tonight because I know what too good like this. Sorry, I got it wrong. Sorry. I got a couple of nets. The next month is, now we're getting the next BE test coming up. It'll be on April the 16th. It'll be 9 o'clock a.m. at the Church of Christ in Murray County. I've got that coming up April the 16th at 9 o'clock a.m. I've got that coming up. And your next communion will be on 3 weeks from tonight. It'll be April the 12th. In-person meeting, 5:15, 5:30 each, meeting 7 p.m. The in-person meeting will be on Zoom. I've got that coming up April the 12th. I've got that coming up, and the video testing will be on the 16th of April. I'm getting them two coming up. Back to you, Dustin, Ken Cliff, W803TW. And out, KK4MKH clear.
All right, Barry. I got you and Cliff on the list. All right, any other announcements tonight? All right, nothing heard. We're gonna move ahead with our traffic handling training session tonight. All that would like to participate, please come with your name and call sign now.
This is A4ZD Airedale. This is WD4NCO Art. This is N4GLA Eric.
This is G6STG Gary.
All right. Let's see. I got Barry. I got Dale. I got Art. I got Eric and Gary. Anybody else want to check in on Murray Amateur Radio Club NewbieNet / ARRL traffic handling lessons? All right, nothing heard. N4BBB. Scott, the floor is yours, my friend.
I appreciate it. K4LEN and the group. This is N4BBB with the Murray Amateur Radio Club traffic handling training. Good evening to everybody. Thank you for attending. Well, last week we went through the beginning of the test message, went through the preamble. I'll state that very quickly. And by the way, if you have a chance to listen to the Tennessee phone net, you'll hear some very well formatted traffic being passed to WD4LAR, who is the Tennessee net manager, and he's taking net reports that way. So we're trying to all better develop our traffic handling abilities and just familiarity, just so that when something happens and we need to pass traffic, everybody knows what's happening. I'll refer you back to the FSD, Foxtrot Sierra Delta, figures 218 form, which I mailed out. I've sent out a couple times. Also, the Foxtrot Sierra Delta figure 3, which is also a guide to message formatting. And they're on the ARRL website. Anyone doesn't have them, I can always send them. So in the preamble is what starts off every message. And the one we were using last week as an example, first of all, it starts out with the number of the message. And that's usually something you self-generate. There's no standard for that. A lot of people will use the month number, such as today being 3, and you might this might be your second piece of traffic, so your number might be 32 or 0302. However you want to do it, it just helps make the individual pieces of traffic individualized. Then you have your number, and then you have your priority of the traffic. And in most cases, it'll be an R for routine. Then you have your handling instructions. And in this traffic we used last week, it was Hotel X-Ray Golf, which means just deliver it by standard means. Don't go to any special trouble with it. It's just a routine message. Then you have the sending station. So the preamble in this message was number 421, routine, Hotel X-Ray Golf, Kilo Foxtrot 1, Sierra Lima Golf, the sending station, then Alpha Romeo Lima 25. And as we've talked before, the ARRL formats are a standard text, so you don't have to spell out the same message over and over and over. You just refer to that list that everybody has. I'll let And then we have, after the ARRL 25 standard text. It has the location of the message origin, Brewster, Massachusetts, and then the date time group. And that's typically the time in Zulu time. It doesn't have to be, but it usually is. And in this case, when it's 2130 Zulu, November 23. And that's 213, figures 2130 Zulu. NOV, November Oscar Victor, figures 23. And now we get into the address part of the message. And that is, in this case, it's to a person. If you're sitting to another ham and it's going to be delivered to on the ham bands, you don't need to go through all the address format. You can just say, for instance, to another station like WD4LAR, with possibly their name, but that pretty much spells itself out. So the address is typically the name, the address, city, street, zip, and then a telephone number, and at the end of the address, you send break. Now, in Morse code, that's typically Bravo Tango, or if you're just reading out a message itself, you say break. That just shows people that you're at the end of a paragraph or at the end of a text block. I'll let the repeater reset. And then you have your text of your message. And in this case, when it is drill, Delta Romeo India Lima Lima, ARRL 50, Alpha Romeo Lima 50, three-letter X can make, X is a period or a break in the sentence, can make sked Saturday. And you're just telling somebody using a standardized text of ARRL 50 and that you can make the schedule on Saturday. So that's just informing another ham that you're going to keep a schedule with them. Let it reset. At the end of the message, you have a signature, and in this case, it's got a full name, address, mailing address, and everything, including the ham call. And then at the end of the message, you say, end of message, no more, over. And that would be typically in Morse code, that would be Alpha Romeo, which means AR is from the old telegraph days. That means AR means all received. And you could, you actually do AR with a bar over it. That means it's sent as one standard CW character, da-da-da-da-da. So people know what that means, and then you can say K for just over. So that was your standard text message, and I can send the text of this out. I can put this on the email reflector for everybody's convenience. But it's really simple to do. If you've listened to the Tennessee phone net in the last couple of days, various net control stations have been sending in their net reports to WD4LAR, and they can leave out all that address stuff because it's to a known ham who's receiving it himself, so you don't need all that other stuff. They understand that that's what you're telling them, and that way he can go ahead and file his net reports. This N4BBB standing by. Anybody have any questions or fills? Over. Hit. Thank you, Justin. Yes, it's all open source. It's all available to everybody who needs it and wants it. And stuff like the handling instructions, like in this one tonight that we just went through, Hotel X-Ray Golf, means that delivery by mail or landline phone call is not necessary. If toll or other expenses involved, cancel message and service originating station. So that way you say, I couldn't make a long distance call. Or in the modern day, when everybody has a cell phone, that's not really an issue anymore. But it's still very considerate to let somebody know that you did deliver or could not deliver their message. As I said, between those two documents, FSD number 3 and FSD 218, you have all the handling instructions, all the Q signals, all the priorities, and the standardized radiograms. So too, another thing I can send out and put on the mail list, I think I already did this, but I can be sure. There is a PDF of an ARRL standard radiogram, and that radiogram, it's a fillable PDF, so you can get the form up on your computer screen, fill the data in, put in all the stuff that you need to, and then you can save it as a file, or you just throw it to a printer, and you have a record of that traffic. It is always advisable to keep all traffic that you send or receive or originate for at least 6 months, maybe longer. A lot of the requirements for that type stuff, there's never been a per se regulation about keeping traffic, just like there used to be a regulation that you had to keep a log book of all your contacts, and that's been dropped for about, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And I've got stacks and stacks of old log books, and I don't do that anymore. But it's good to keep your traffic for a while in case you need to refer back to it. For BBB, anybody have any questions or comments or observations? Over. Tonight's training session, I will go ahead and put these two pieces of test traffic onto the email reflector so you can all look at them. And I'll make sure that fillable radiogram form is there as well. This N4BBB Murray Amateur Radio Club traffic handling net. Anybody have any questions or would have any additional check-ins? N4BBB. In our next section of this training, I'll try and keep this one fairly short because we're already to 8:17. The message form that we use, since everybody uses that same form, there is really no way to get it wrong. For instance, when you do a check of your letters, if you send a check of 10 and the receiving station they go through and they count their words in the message, and there's only 8, they know that they missed something, and that's when you start asking for fills or word between or word after. So be very aware of the check of the message, because that's supposed to equal the number of words in the actual text. This is N4BBB. As you get into ARRL traffic handling, and I can put this entire course up on the mail reflector as well, as Justin was just saying a minute ago. People tend to be wordy. People tend to use too many words. They ask for, I've heard some pretty horrible traffic passed on the phone net and other places. And back in the 70s, after I'd been licensed for a year or two, I started hearing some really bad traffic procedures. And I asked some friends where was a good place to get good traffic handling experience. And 3 or 4 different people referred me to Navy Mars. And I spent 36 years in Navy Marine Corps Mars, and it was a great experience, very good. Just a great bunch of people. And they were real pros at handling traffic. In the 80s, when I was net control for about 3.5 years, we would customarily pass 20, 21, 22 pieces of traffic, all by voice, in 1 hour session. And it was great. It was a great experience. And believe me, when somebody has just sent their 18 or 19 or 20-year-old off to the Marine Corps or to Navy boot camp in Great Lakes, and they get that message back that, hey, I arrived safely, and they know that their son or daughter or other family member has arrived safely, it gave people a lot of comfort knowing that. And it kept us in practice because we did have several emergency operations over the years with hurricanes and other things. This is N4BBB break. for them real quick, and then we'll break the evening session for tonight. There are 4 parts to every message. There's the preamble, the address, there's the text, and the signature. And each of those is important, and they all have to be present for a piece of traffic to be valid. The preamble is the heading at the top line of the message, and it's divided into 8 parts. There's the message number, and as we talked about before, that's something that you generate yourself, unless it's a message that you're relaying and you'll use his message. There's the precedence, which tells you how important it is. If it's just routine, it's nothing major. But for instance, you might have a precedence that says that this is not normal traffic. This might be a drill or an emergency, and that's important to know. And that gets passed along. And there's routine messages, welfare messages, and priority messages. So those all have different levels of importance. And priority messages have a time limit, and they're not covered if it's an official message. And it could be something that might be emergency related, or, in worst case scenario, something that is a matter of death or injury. And then emergency. Emergency is not abbreviated. Emergency is always spelled out in words, and that's very important. That's much more important than when something is a drill. So emergency messages are when something is very, very important. Then there's the and that's something we talked about a minute ago, and we don't need to repeat that, but that does tell you how you should handle the message and what your responsibilities are as somebody who has received the traffic. N4BBB break. Sounds like my voice is starting to give out, so I'm gonna stop here, and we'll continue next Tuesday. The next place we'll be doing this is on station of origin, which is obvious, and the check. The check is the count of words or groups in the text of the message, and that might also include the letters ARRL before the number of groups. Therefore, ARRL counts as a word, and the message ARRL 25 would be a check of 2. So anyway, we will continue next week, and thank you all for attending. And as you can tell, my voice is about to give out, so I'll stop now. K4LEN in the group, this is N4BBB. For Justin, I've got N4GLA, K4LEN, KK4MKH, KA4ZDR, K6STG, and WD4NCO plus me. Does that agree with yours?
No comment. All right, KA4ZDR. Good evening, Dale. You got a comment or anything for the net tonight?
This is K4ZDR. I really don't have anything else. The one thing I might mention, I don't think Scott's brought this up.